So, hi everyone. I am Lindsey Shaktman. I'm with the Maven House events team. Taylor and I are so excited to have Emily French here today with West End Entertainment. So, we'll allow her in a little bit to introduce ourselves, but just thank you for coming today during, lunch, breakfast, wherever you are in the world. A little about Maven House. So we are a planning firm for weddings, social events, and corporate events. We have planners all throughout New England, New York, down to Charleston, South Carolina. And we do events locally throughout destinations as well. We come to the table with a collaborative planning perspective, very transparent. We work with clients in a myriad of ways to meet them where they are in the planning process. So whether that's full service planning and design, more operational and logistics planning, we have kind of something for everybody to, again, meet you where you are in the planning process. So that's just a little snippet about Maven House. Personally, I am based in Portland, Maine, and I plan destination events with our team. I'll pass it off to Taylor.
Thanks, Lindsey. My name is Taylor DuRoss. I live in Brooklyn. I work on events in New York, but also throughout New England. And I also work on our sister company's events, 42 North events. And I'm so excited to be having this chat with Emily today. Emily is the Director of Operations at West End Entertainment. She has over 10 years of experience in luxury event entertainment, working everything from global conferences to red carpet events to sporting events, notable family events. So we are super excited to have her on board, and we also have not yet discussed entertainment on this webinar series so far. So we know there's much to discuss about the expanding world of events entertainment. So Emily, I would love to hand it over to you. But first, just a quick note, today's webinar is meant to be immersive and interactive. Please feel free to use the chat function as we're speaking. No questions are off the table. We're super excited to engage with you all. So with that, Emily, let's take it away.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm excited. We've been chatting about this for a little bit, and I love, super passionate about entertainment and events. So I'd love to just chat about it, and really, really excited to be here. As Taylor mentioned, just a little bit about me. I've worked in the events industry for a little over 10 years. Started my career actually as a wedding planner at a luxury resort in West Virginia, of all places, and kind of moved around the country, followed live events in the world of live events around the country for a number of years, working in the all things that Taylor mentioned, from weddings to red carpet events to family events and so on and so forth. And actually have always had this passion for entertainment. I came from this side of it. It's interesting to have the perspective that I have now, being on this side as a supplier in the entertainment industry versus coming from the planning space, hospitality, hotels, things like that. But entertainment was always one of the things I loved most about doing event planning. And I started working with West End Entertainment about 1.5 years ago. West End Entertainment is, in a nutshell, we are many things, but in a nutshell, West End Entertainment is a talent booking and procurement agency for corporate and private events. So our role and responsibility is we help work with clients, everything from the initial stages of really thinking through what your event theme is and what types of entertainment really fit best, and kind of conceptualizing and visualizing how entertainment can be infused into your event in the right ways and in the impactful ways that you want to deliver those outcomes to your attendees, all the way through contracting, sourcing, and then handling all the planning and production specifically for the event on site. So really fun space to be in. I'm excited to talk to you guys more about it today, and hopefully I can tell you some fun stories and give you some good information about what's happening in the world of entertainment.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. I mean, it's such a comprehensive business that, you work in, and I think there's so many facets to the entertainment industry that people aren't even aware of and that they haven't even tapped into. So I'm really excited for you to be the person who is expanding people's knowledge out here on the events world. I know that Taylor and I personally have seen some, more creative and wild asks and wants in the entertainment category in the last year or so. So it's exciting to see people getting a little more, out of the box rather than just, which we'll get to, of course, but just the band or DJ. So it's exciting. But let's dive into, some questions and things. So I know that recently your team was in Las Vegas and you were at a really big trade show. So like those kind of big events, one would terrify me, just personally. But for you guys and what you're doing, like how does that impact, what you're seeing in the industry, what you're forecasting, and what, you guys are doing within your business going to these trade shows?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, our team is small. We all wear many hats. And one of the things that I have really taken the reins with is a lot of business development and a lot of just like brand awareness, company awareness. And these trade shows I've attended some of these trade shows in my past, again, from the other side of it as a vendor, as a hotelier. And so this year, going to some of these things on this side was really enlightening and interesting. And they all serve a different purpose. So, my team has really invested time into kind of figuring out where are the right places to land, where are the right places to invest time and focus, at least now in this stage of where our company is at and building relationships. Some of them, we're actually going to one in New York in January that's more focused on talent. So we'll be going to learn more about new talent, people that are showcasing their talent. And that is always super exciting. I know we'll talk a little bit maybe later about kind of our methods of staying up with who's available in the industry to book. But specifically this Las Vegas event is IMEX. It is the largest industry trade show that exists. It's super fun. It is very overwhelming. Las Vegas, I don't know, some people are Vegas people, some people are not. After working in Las Vegas, I'm very much like, wow, it is overwhelming and it's a lot, but there's typically about 1,200 different vendors that display at IMEX. And a lot of those people are cities, they're conventions bureaus. So it's Visit Phoenix, it is Discover Los Angeles, it is Meet Hawaii. And really these cities, they kind of exhibit with a lot of their different entities that fall like into their city, like that make their city appealing for people who are hosting events, for people who want to have a destination wedding, who are planning a large conference. This is why you should come to this city. So for us, and this is something, if there's any planners that are tuned in, I highly recommend. IMEX is a free event. If you go as an attendee, there's no cost to register. Of course, if you're exhibiting, there is a cost, but if you just go as an attendee, there's no cost for the ticket. You can go, you can roam the trade show floor, and then of course, all you're paying for are like your travel expenses. So this year we went as attendees and we were able to to set up appointments and things going into it, meeting with different DMCs, different cities that we have met previously. And it's just an amazing experience. So I think the biggest thing for us, our company is extremely relationship based. We are always looking at the long term. We are always in it for the joy of building a relationship more than anything else. It's not about the bottom line. It's about being a good partner. And for us, going to IMEX was a lot about just getting out there, meeting people, introducing ourselves that we have not met yet as a newer company, and really just kind of planting the seed for like how we can help support your clients, your businesses, and how we can work together to make these events the best they can possibly be. So incredible investment. If anyone gets a chance to go as like an individual planner, I highly recommend it. And it's just definitely prepare yourself because there are lots and lots and lots of people. It is a lot of fun. They're great events, but just going and wandering and walking around the trade show floor is really incredible for just the world of business development, the world of meeting people and starting to build those relationships.
I love that. That's sounds very overwhelming, but very educational. And I think it's such a cool facet of the industry that you're able to see so much in one spot. Let's dive into a little bit about events, like the actual events that are happening. So what would you say, and this could be wedding, corporate, social, whatever it may be, is the wildest talent that you've booked?
Wild is a really interesting word to use. I would say that depending on what it is, right, the answers are always different. I think that, recently one of the unique kind of wild things we did was a live petting zoo, with like llamas and like, I can't even remember all of the animals that were there, but like a domestic petting zoo. So that was very interesting. It was, it was just something that they thought was kind of out there and fun. And so that was a very unique one. We also, this year I did one event, that in the matter of 2 days, I had 6 headliners. I had Bruno Mars, I had John Legend, I had, DJ Diesel, who's Shaquille O'Neal. So an event like that is a once in a lifetime, where people are, but I think wild events are, they're just unique. They're about finding something that's new and different. And I think that people are really investing a lot more in live entertainment than they ever have been. So the things that are being kind of put together, the way that my team is working to like merge an act with another act is something that is really, I think, producing those like fun and unique outcomes.
I love that. Love the petting zoo life. I think it was Liz had an event earlier in the summer where there were ponies on the property.
Yes.
And they wore little floral garlands and the bride and groom took photos with them. And it was such this cute moment. So I think there is certainly a time and a place for a petting zoo, and it could be somebody's wedding.
It could be, absolutely.
What an activity. Taylor, do you want to take it away with some questions?
Absolutely. Emily, Lindsey and I are definitely seeing the same thing. People more and more curious about what's out there in the world of entertainment, more and more willing, like you said, to invest in a really immersive or unique experience for their guests. I think especially post-pandemic, people are really interested in their event being totally one of a kind, very much present in the moment, super engaging. We've seen a lot of really creative entertainment come out of that. Some of those things include, like live voice actors providing guest seating for, instead of, a traditional escort card display, pick up a phone and somebody will read you a little poem or a riddle telling you where your seat is, or surprise performances. I know Lindsey and I was producing one of Lindsey's events with her this past year where we had a guest performer come in and surprise one of the clients. Lindsey, you can probably speak to that, but just really surprising and out of the box experiences. So we definitely are seeing a lot of that as well. How do you scout new talent? What makes a good musical partner from your perspective? What are you looking for with your experience in the industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that my team, we invest a lot in research. My job requires me to be an expert in the industry, as does anyone's, right? That is why you're bringing me in, is because I am the expert when it comes to this space. And so it's top priority for our team to stay ahead of trends, to know what exists in the industry. So a lot of that for us, I live in Los Angeles, so I'm definitely in like an entertainment hub of the country. I am out, 4 or 5 days a week, a lot of times, like going to new venues, meeting people, checking out different networking events, different types of things, just spending a lot of time researching. I also, this last year, have traveled a lot. I've spent a lot of time on the road. My company works all across the country. We work internationally. We're working on events next year in Iceland and South Africa and all over. So I've spent quite a bit of time in many different cities and areas this year, doing what we were kind of talking about with the Vegas show, IMEX, like meeting people, having a call, really talking about what it is that we can do, a partnership, and then going to those areas to scout talent, to meet talent, to talk to different agencies. We do partner with agencies on certain things as well that, have like a book of talent that they manage. So I would say research is really number one for us. And I think what makes a good partner is a couple of things. I mentioned that my team at West End, the relationship comes first. Building a relationship with our clients, with our, with our performers that we use, that is number one. That is always top of mind. So we want to work with entertainers who feel the same way. I'm an extremely passionate person. My team is very passionate. Working with entertainers who are extremely passionate, who love what they do, and who really value putting their best effort forth and putting on the best performance they can for their clients. Those are the people that we want to work with. I have to trust that when I am selling an entertainer to a client, I'm selling a bride and groom, a band, I am speaking intelligently about this band. I know this band, I know how they are to work with. I know that they're going to give you a good experience. Like, that is my role and responsibility. So being able to work with talent who values the partnership, values the relationship, and is always really passionate about the outcome are the people that are on our roster. And we're always going to bring to our clients the people that we know that they can trust to make it get done really well, to give them the impact that they're looking for.
That's really similar to, what we're doing as well as planners. I feel like we have a parallel process, you scouting new talent in the entertainment sphere versus us, onboarding a new vendor, pitching them to our clients, forging that relationship. So it's definitely something that we're looking for as well when it comes to, new people to work with to produce an event and bring it to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because, I used to, like, when I was in like wedding planning, for example, my very first role in my career, it was like, I'm the one that has to answer to this, right? It's no fun for me to have to go and tell my client, my couple, anything like, oh, well, this went wrong, or to like get an email that was like, it didn't really go as planned. Like, that is the worst feeling. I take things personally like that when like they do, like maybe I shouldn't, but it's like, I feel like I'm responsible. And so I think, even working with a company like yours, a lot of our clients are event planning companies or production companies. And again, going back to, I say everything, the foundation of everything is a relationship. You have to feel confident in me and in my services and my, my work ethic and all of that to be able to produce what you need for your client.
Absolutely. I think there's such a level of trust when, you are working with these types of scenarios and these celebrations that are inherently very personal. And I think that just making sure that everybody in, what Taylor was saying, like when we're onboarding a new vendor, we want to make sure that that vendor is aligned with, Maven House as a company, but also aligned with what our clients are doing. And if, a client is working with us, they're aligned with Maven House in some way. But we really make sure that at the end of the day, everybody's main goal is client success, event success, and that everybody is thinking about the same end result, which is ultimately, these weddings, these events going off without a hitch. Everyone's doing what they have to do, what they've been hired to do. And I think that having this formal vetting process to make sure that these, DJs, petting zoos, whatever it may be, are aligned in that goal is really important for, your work of just managing them. And then also, of course, the client. So it really is this full circle moment.
Absolutely.
A question I know that the three of us were chatting about the other day that I think is really interesting, because again, it's talking about client success a little bit, but how often would you say is a client coming to you with, okay, we need to book, a band, and then you are giving them alternate ideas and they end up changing what their entertainment looks like come the actual day of that event?
Yeah, it was funny. We were chatting about this. 95% of the time. I think
so much.
Yeah, like almost always. No, but there are, at the end of the day, like if a client says, this is really what I want, I am going to say, absolutely. Like, okay, great. But again, it is my job to guide to kind of guide that process. And not only that, but like to dig deep into it, to get creative, to like pull out more than is like maybe at the surface when we're initially discussing what your event scope is, what your event vision is. Sometimes we do have clients that will come to us and say, clients that we've been working with maybe for a long time, and they'll say, hey, we want to book, this just happened actually last week. One of my clients is the San Francisco Giants, and they are having a holiday party, and they said, we want to book X band for the holiday party. Can you assist with that? Absolutely. Yes, we can help you get this band. This is what you know you want. We know this band, you know, we know you well as a client, but I still am providing you four options for bands. I'm like, hey, just in case you want to consider something different, here's a couple bands that like you haven't seen before that are new, you know, that you can consider. So I think when we do proposals, our proposals are usually like pretty lengthy. We like to give you like, I would say 10 options for a band. But one thing that I really love about what my company has implemented is on our proposals, we'll add like a tag that tells you why we think this person is a good fit for you. Like, why are they in our proposal? So not only are you seeing photos and a bio and like video links, but you're also getting like from us as industry experts who, you know, who have seen these performers, who feel like we like are learning your audience, like why we think that they really would be a good fit for you. I think that, you know, one of the things that is a benefit of working with a booking agency is simply time management. For a planner, like, or a bride, or, you know, I mean, like somebody who maybe is a company planner who has multiple events on their plate, or who's managing all of the pieces of this, dishing out the entertainment piece to us is a time saver. It is, you are now doing your research. You can come up with ideas maybe faster than I can find them because you have them in your arsenal. And so I think that's a lot of it. It's like, here's my theme, here's kind of what we're going with. And then we will like take maybe their vision board and come up with, you know, a myriad of ideas that we're now then saying, here's why we think this fits to you. And it's like an aha moment. It's like oh, okay, that's really interesting. It's more than your band. It's more than your, you know, one person. So I would say that, you know, like in the corporate world, a lot of people have a theme or they have a vision that they're going into it with, but maybe that's where the planning has stopped, or maybe they're pulling from ideas that they've used in the past. Like, okay, well, this is something that we do every year, right? Like, isn't that, there's like that saying, it's the most dangerous phrase in business, it's always been done this way. And it's like, there's influences that people are pulling from like what they've done in the past, what they've seen maybe done at other events, at other weddings, at their friends, you know, celebrations. And they're kind of pulling influences from that. And that's where they come up with their initial ideas. Then you bring in somebody like our team, and we're going to say, yeah, those are really great, but here's some things that maybe are just like a little out of the box that you're not thinking of because you haven't seen them yourself, or you haven't had the experience quite like we have in like a tight-knit situation to really think about and visualize how it could come together.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's, I think, a huge part of what we bring to the table as event professionals is just that perspective of what is possible, what is done, taking an idea and really building upon it and taking it like really to the nth degree. And it's also a really rewarding part of our jobs. I think if we collectively do hundreds of weddings, like each year, we want them all to be really different, really special, really unique. I think it's a great opportunity to bring, you know, your expertise into the equation.
Yeah. Oh, I totally like celebrate my wins when I have like a proposal out and I have like this unique entertainer that my client's like, oh, we love them. I'm like, I know, like, right. It's just like it's very rewarding to know that you've, I think, helped like, you know, helped bring it together, helped make it great.
Right. And I think it's so great that you provide so many different options to all of your clients. I'm curious about how you help them narrow down and what you think, you know, maybe 3 questions are that are helpful to sort of narrowing it down and finally booking an entertainer and making sure it's the right fit.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I would say the 3 questions, they're really very different, kind of based on like what segment of event you're in, and also like what type of entertainer is it, right? Like, are you talking about, and I would say maybe I would put keynote speakers. We do a lot of keynote speakers. And so that is in like a bucket all by itself. That's totally something very different. And it's so unique and it's such a different process to go through. I think that, you know, for us, when we do a proposal, we always will like to set up a call with our clients to like walk through the proposal, to discuss it, because you can read things on a PowerPoint, you can read bullet points, you can watch videos. But I think being able to have a conversation and like hear more stories, hear about, like, I can tell you an experience. We just had a keynote speaker recently who, like, on paper might seem a little like, oh yeah, that's interesting, but the delivery is like so incredible. So being able to, I think, tell those things and dive deep is really important. But I would say, number one is, and again, may vary a little bit if you're looking at like a wedding versus a corporate event, but number one is, who's your audience? I think when it comes to corporate events, planners are typically, they really know their audience. They understand the demographic. They understand, who it is that they're trying to please, who their attendees are. And that really helps fine tune and kind of narrow down what it is that they are looking for in their entertainment. I think with weddings, obviously they really know their attendees, but I do think that it's, in my opinion, I think it's still important to consider who is in the room when you have your wedding. It's like, it is yours. It should be yours. The decision should be yours. It should represent you. But it's also like, it is a night out for a lot of people who are paying for a babysitter. Like, it's mom and dad's date night. It's all these things. So I think it's still good to like kind of know who your audience is and to really find things that are going to make it fun and interactive for everybody. I think it's also important to know like what your purpose is. I would say one of the trendiest things that we are seeing moving into the next year, throughout this year and into the next year, is purpose-driven events. I think that stems from the pandemic and us all being apart. Entertainment is bigger than ever. People are investing more money than ever. They're putting more time and effort than ever into finding the right entertainment. People missed entertainment and sports during the pandemic, like live entertainment, live sporting events. And so I think now, when they gather, when they are able to come together in person, everyone is thinking through a little bit more about like what that means to be connected and what that means to be in person together. So I think knowing what your purpose is, what your goals are with your event, is definitely a question to ask yourself that will kind of help you really narrow in and focus on what entertainment is going to help you accomplish those goals. And then something else I would say, might not apply to everyone, but like, what responsibilities do you have as like a client or as the event host to stakeholders, to other people that are involved with your event, right? Do you have responsibilities to have a return on your investment? Do you have certain responsibilities to, to produce a certain level of education, takeaways, things like that, and making sure that you're contractually kind of protected in that? I think, I'm sure you all know with where you're at, like looking through contracts and making sure that your clients, your end users, ask the right questions before they sign a contract and know the full picture of like what they're committing to and what they're really like agreeing to is so important. So I think contracting and responsibilities to those individuals is definitely a key thing to think about.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things that you brought up was like thinking about who is going to be there. Taylor and I had produced a wedding together this past October, and we had a DJ there from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. And there was a full thought process in stake of cocktail hour should be this type of music because these are the guests who are going to be there. When we start dancing at 9 p.m., it's going to be this type of music because the parents, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles are also going to be there. When it gets to 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., like we're going to, get into some uncut versions of songs, and it can be a little wilder because we know that a lot of people are going to have left at that point, that it's not going to be offensive or whatever it may be. And so thinking about that from like, this is what we like as a client, but also like, this is what's going to make our guests the most engaged at the right times is really important. It's a really important part of the entertainment journey, is thinking about like, who's actually going to be on the dance floor at that time? Like what would make them excited to be up and dancing, and making sure that everybody who's there is having the best time.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. I think it's, and having an expert like you or like our team that can guide that and can say like, yeah, I totally get it. I get what you're what you're going for. But at the end of the day, like it's so important to just like understand what really makes an impact. Do you really want this music blasting at 7 p.m. with an empty dance floor? you don't, I mean, like, that's not really what you're going for either. So I think just like being able to have, and a lot of times for our clients, it's almost just being able to have somebody as a sounding board, right? Like being able to have like a person that's there, that's planning with them, or that's handling an entertainment piece that they can really just like bounce ideas off of and talk through it. And then having that guidance in planners and industry experts to really say like, yeah, like I hear your idea, I got your idea, like let's think through this, and just talk through the flow.
Exactly. So I think that brings us to a great time to ask the question we all think about. Taylor, do you want to take it away? The one we teased on Instagram.
Oh yeah. Emily, we are curious about your take on the great debate about booking a DJ versus a live band for a wedding.
I love this question. And, I'll preface it by saying this is certainly my opinion. But I think I actually developed this opinion like early on when I was doing weddings, and I would like witness it like week after week after week of how things would happen. And my opinion has never changed. But so I think that again, like I'll say this: band, without a question, live band, no doubt. But I do think that there are, for me, like with my experience, there are two reasons why people always would come to me and say, we're going to do a DJ instead of a band. Number one is because the majority of the time, the budget is substantially different. A DJ is going to cost quite a bit less than a live band usually does. I get it. Number two is because the type of music that they want played is like such a full variety of music, everything from Frank Sinatra to Bruno Mars, like, and so on. And there's not a band that can really cover like this genre, the spread of genres and decades that they're looking for. False. There's absolutely, without a question, tons and tons and tons of bands, countless bands that are great wedding bands because of their variety, because of how they offer the different styles of music, how they offer a jazz trio for a cocktail hour, dinner music in that like Frank Sinatra zone, and then like dance music as well. I understand, sometimes budget is a factor, and maybe your budget just doesn't quite allow for a full band. I think it's about getting creative. I think that I've never had somebody say that they regretted spending money, making more of an investment on a live band. And I think it's about getting creative. We just did this. I work with a band that I just had at an event at a wedding in upstate New York, and they paired it with a DJ. So we cut back on the band set. We did a little bit of a smaller configuration, and then they had a DJ that like came in as well in the end. So I worked with like infusing. How am I infusing? We did some mixes with the band and the DJ. Like, how are we doing this together? Super cool. Was an amazing experience. I think that the energy that a live band brings to an event is unparalleled. It's absolutely very different than what a DJ can do. And let me just finish with this. I will say, however, I think something that's really big right now, that's a really amazing option if you are going the DJ route for a wedding, is we work with a number of DJs that are they're bands as well. It's like a DJ duo. So you have a DJ, and then you might also have like a drummer and a horn player, or you have a DJ, but it's like really a band, and they're fused together. So it's one cohesive unit. The music is still coming from the DJ, but you still get those elements of a live band, which I think gives you kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, we did that at one of our weddings this past year. It was like a live DJ, and then we had this group of 5, a horn ensemble accompany the DJ, and it was so fun because the band members could go into the dance floor, get people hyped up. The DJ was there, playing all of her stuff. It was very fun and very cool, and the guests really responded to it, which I think was important. I think in terms of energy, it's very fun.
Yeah, very fun. Gives it a lot of layers. So yeah, it's a great.
I love it. I also feel like one of the things people ask when they're talking to me about band or DJ is that they if the band is going to take breaks anyways, and there's going to be recorded music, then like, why don't they just do the DJ? And what I'm seeing more and more is bands who are rotating their breaks. So they're doing, you know, 2 people off at one time so that there's never really a break when everyone is leaving the stage. And I think that has been very effective for our clients to ensure that that level of energy is able to be maintained throughout the night. You know, you want to make sure that, yeah, everyone is getting breaks and they're, you know, feeling fresh and ready, but that you're not ever having a moment where it's like, okay, and now,
yeah, this is
band
awkward.
has left, everyone left the dance floor, everyone's rushing the bar, doing it's like, it is certainly a mood
100%.
shift in that moment.
100%. And I think that's another thing, you know, going back to like the talent we work with, you know, we're all about having really amazing relationships with them, because these bands are flexible. Like we work with so many bands that don't break, you know, their sets are like, they'll do a 3-hour set without a break. And because you're absolutely right. I've seen it before where like the band takes a break and it's like, oh, that's when everyone goes and sits down, and it's kind of hard to like ride the wave, right? Like throughout a wedding of how that goes. But I also think like being really strategic about your breaks, you know, I work very closely with the clients and with the planners on timing and what that looks like. When exactly are the toasts happening? When are all these things happening? So, okay, during toast, it's okay to have like everybody break and maybe just have one person there if they need to like MC, you know, so just kind of layering in like where it makes sense, where you're going to have people like where it's not going to take away from the event, but yeah, just having the conversation and keeping it open about, you know, how do we make this not awkward, but completely agree. Having rotating bands is definitely a big trend right now, and it's really working out. I've seen it make such a difference in weddings.
Yeah. It's also a great way to add layers and like levels to an event. If you've got like a main event and an after party, you know, maybe you switch up the number of performers or do a band for the main event, a DJ for the after party. It just
absolutely
keeps things dynamic in each section.
Yeah, there you go. A little bit of everything. Yeah.
So I think we have time for just a couple of more questions before we wrap up and let everyone get back to their days. So we'll just rapid fire a couple at you. So Emily, you had mentioned, you know, you guys work worldwide, you're doing a lot of traveling. So as a big traveler, what would you say is your favorite city you've been to, just personally? And then beyond that, where would you say is a happening spot for a destination wedding these days?
Oh, favorite city I've been to, Denver. Nice. I don't know why. I just love Denver. I'm from Ohio originally, so like it kind of gives me a little bit of like a home, like colder weather, you know, mountains, all of that. But yeah, absolutely love Denver. I will say I am very excited this year to be going to Iceland, and so things like that. So we'll see, that might change, but best spot for destination. Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, I will say I am maybe slightly biased. I did live in Hawaii. So I would say Hawaii. I think I lived in Maui, and the beaches of Maui or like Kauai, they're a little bit less hustle and bustle, or like the North Shore of Oahu, a little bit less hustle and bustle than like a Waikiki or Honolulu. But Hawaii is just like an absolute paradise, amazing for weddings, amazing for corporate getaways, like incentive programs, things like that. So hands down, that would be, but again, might be a little biased, but
I mean, I went to Hawaii for the first time last year and cannot agree more. Waikiki was way too much for me. I was like, this is a tourist hotspot. The North Shore of Oahu, I could have spent, you know, the rest of my life there. It was the most stunning, and same with Maui. Like it is a spot to be.
Absolutely. And like Maui is, I always say, you know, Maui is kind of like a great in between of like Oahu and like the Big Island. There's like more to do than there is on the Big Island. If you're having like guests come over, if you're looking for like spots to host events, like a little nightlife, but it still feels very like relaxing, very calm, a slower pace. And it's great too, if you're getting married over there. If you ever get married over there, you go to Hawaii for your honeymoon or anything, my number one suggestion for you as like a newly married couple or like an individual who needs like a day, take the ferry from Maui to Lanai, and do a day, like one night at the Four Seasons, or like just a day on the beaches of Lanai. These beaches are the most incredible beaches in the ocean, like that I've ever seen. And it's just the ultimate relaxation, ultimate great honeymoon getaway for a day or two.
I love it.
Sounds fabulous. Emily, one last question for you. I don't want to put you on the spot. I know there's probably tons of creative and logistical challenges that kind of comes with the territory, but we'd love to hear about a recent request that threw you and your team for a loop, to do some creative problem solving, perhaps. What's been taking things up lately in your world?
Oh yeah. The most recent thing that comes to my mind is I'm actually going to Arizona next week for a program. It's a corporate program that we are doing. And it's an international company that has guests that are coming from all over. They're really kind of focused in India, the UK, Canada, Australia, but a little bit of all over. So it's very much like it's a really diverse group, very culturally diverse. And the challenge was the theme is like this around the world theme, right? Like they really want to do an around the world theme, but it also has to feel extremely authentic, because people that are coming from India, you can't do things that are like American Indian. You know what I mean? Like you can't do things that are like potentially even maybe offensive, like to the culture. It has to be very authentic. It has to be very like make everyone feel like they're at home, I think was kind of the goal. Like everyone's going to look around and feel like they are right in their own backyard, like at a restaurant seeing this live entertainment. So I think one of the things for us, like for doing this, was we love this idea. This is such a great idea. But what we ended up trying to come up with was entertainers that could do, and there's 3 different events. So each one has a little bit of like a different theme for the night. One was like an international food and wine festival, and they want the music to represent all of the countries. And so we talked about doing like vignettes. We talked about, different things. What we are doing is we had a DJ create custom playlists. It's a DJ out of Los Angeles that we love and work with, somewhat of a celebrity DJ. She's incredible. And she is actually creating like mashups. So taking music that is from these different countries and creating like one long set list playlist, and making it a really, really awesome mixture of music from all around the world. And then in that, we are going to infuse vignettes of different dancers and different elements from the different cultures. So I think that one is fun because it kind of put us in a space to do more research and to find things that are also like somewhat local to Arizona. There's a group called Indigenous Enterprise that's out of Arizona, and they're like obviously indigenous to Arizona, but they're this dance group that is doing like the Super Bowl this year and has really just blown up with the way they represent their culture in that city. And so it's been fun to kind of find things that are new and unique in the area, and to really visualize this, and again put together things like with wellness, things that we're doing. We're bringing in like we're doing we're doing like wellness, we're doing like cranial sacral therapy and like different things with that. So we've been able to kind of like really infuse a lot of different elements into this umbrella that fit into their themes, but coming and finding ideas to like really make the event culturally authentic was a good project for us.
That sounds like an event I want to go to. It sounds very comprehensive.
Yeah.
I love that. Wow. That's very cool that you guys have access to all of those different types of resources and like entertainment options. I think that your company is so cool. And I'm just so thankful that we had this time to chat today, Emily. And I want to also thank all of our participants for logging in with us this afternoon. We really appreciate you tuning in. I know we took a little bit of a break from these webinars, so we appreciate you coming back to us. As a reminder, we will be sharing this webinar to YouTube. So if you want to rewatch it or send it to a friend or a colleague, we will be sending out a link to it afterwards. You can also follow us on social media. Maven House is on Instagram as mavenhouse_events. I am Lindsey_Maven House. Taylor is Taylor_Maven House, and Emily can be found at West_End_Ent, so ENT. And we will also send out a note afterwards with all of everybody's social media handles and ways to connect with us. But again, we appreciate it so much for being here. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's been so much fun. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thank you. So everyone have a great rest of your day.